Leaders in Oregon also, Oregon Metropolitan Elite Gymnastics.
I grew up watching my sister compete at competitions and watching her practice, and since then I always knew I wanted to be a gymnast. And I wanted to be a college gymnast since I started watching collegiate gymnastics. They really inspired me to be like them one day with how much fun they have doing the sport. On September 8th, 2015, I was on bars after a week-long vacation. It was my first practice back, and I was doing a free hip handstand, and on the way to handstand, I fell and landed on my elbow, and it was just really painful and shocking, and I was really frustrated.
At first, the injury seemed like it wasn't going to be quite so bad. Well, the doctor said that Ella could actually start, continuing training pretty quickly and put weight on it, and as long as she could do a press up, I think, then she would be good to go within a couple weeks. It was kind of a false early sense of security from the initial communication about Ella's progress.
My initial reaction to Ella's injury, honestly, I really wasn't too concerned about it. She's always been a risk taker and tried new things at an early age, so I had just thought she had hurt her elbow and that we would take her to the doctor and she would just get fixed back up. She might be out for a couple weeks, but she would get right back into the sport of gymnastics.
So from Ella's recovery of her first surgery, I remember very clearly when the doctor took the cast off. I remember when he measured her flexion and extension, and he was a little concerned about how stiff it was, and doctors usually have a pretty good game face, and so that was kind of the first signal that things maybe weren't quite the way we had hoped they would be.
Ella's third surgery was by far the highest risk and the longest procedure that she would have.
My arm affects me today because I can't put any weight on it. I can't do PE, so I take 2 electives in school, and I can't button up a shirt because my elbow can't bend enough to reach the top button, and just little things like that add together, but I know I can push through them.
My buddy from high school says, I have a doctor that lives down the dock from me, and he works up at the local hospital here, and maybe he would know someone. And he calls me back and he says, hey, I talked to the doctor down the dock and I explained the situation as you described it, and apparently he and some other doctor in Boston are the 2 leading surgeons in the whole country on this particular problem. And I was just blown away.
So I was the first kid ever to have this device implanted in my elbow because they just created it 3 months before my surgery. So I was pretty lucky to get that kind of technology, because if I didn't, then it would be a lot more painful and a lot more difficult procedure.
The doctor called it the terrible triad because it was 3 things in and of themselves that were all pretty major, and all 3 of them were happening at the same time to Ella. What they had to do was basically disassemble the elbow, clean everything out, put it back together, and align everything.
I'm so excited to get out of here. I haven't seen this in like a year almost. Look how far it can bend. It might take a while though. It goes kind of slow. Ready? Watch this, okay? It's gonna come up really high. See? It's painful, but it still is worth it.
I continued with gymnastics even though my doctor said I couldn't, because I really love it, and just the feeling of getting a medal at competitions and sticking a beam routine and doing a tumbling pass, I really love the feeling of that, and I didn't want to let that go.
We are extremely proud of Ella. She has continued to show so much positivity and grit. We are just so happy that she's able to be a good, positive role model for others.